All right, it's 7:06. I'm going to call our town hall business meeting to order. Let's stand and say the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, first order of business, approval of April minutes and May claim docket. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to look at that.
I have reviewed the April minutes and the May claim dockets, and I make a motion that they stand as they are.
Okay, I have a first motion.
I'll second.
Got a second motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Minutes and claim dockets are approved. First item on old business is the ARPA funds, the American Rescue Plan. We have not yet received our second half of that installment, right? We just have the
Right.
119,000 so far.
Right.
But as everybody recalls, we got this last year
Yeah.
to look at items to potentially use this on for infrastructure, wastewater treatment, stormwater, increasing broadband services, huh? Parks. The Treasury Department has made small changes to their rules, so they keep expanding what we can spend it on, but has anybody come up with some ideas on what they wanna potentially spend this ARPA fund on? And we have till December 2025 to spend all this money.
What they talking about?
What do you spend it on readily available, easy to find?
The ordinance that we passed, we listed the items in that, and I don't remember all of them, but
It's very broad.
I have one right
Yeah.
here.
you have the list?
Well, I mean, you
In
said
there.
that the government is expanding on things you can spend.
Right, yeah, I'd have to go back on the Treasury Department's website and print it off,
I-
but we can
There's
have that for next meeting.
a lot of broad definitions being thrown out there about how to use it for, it's really the general government, and, I'm gonna encourage you from my seat, look at one-time expenses, because you can't use it for staff or salaries unless you're gonna claim you lost revenue and all that, go that route, and then that would reimburse you for lost revenue, and I'm not sure we could
No.
capture
Yeah.
a lot of that, but look at items that's gonna put us ahead in the future to maybe eliminate a future expense or, set us up for future growth or something in the future
Yeah.
as you're looking for, whether it's parks, building rehab, or, roads, storm sewer, those types of things. And the Treasury Department's gotten a lot more flexible with it, so
Yeah.
be creative, is what I will say from my perspective.
Can we use it for, beautification of the downtown? As in, decorative light poles or,
If you can call it infrastructure, probably.
benches, things like that?
I mean, there've been some very interesting things other towns used it for, so it seems like
And you
lots
can
of
go to
people.
nonprofits as well, some communities give it nonprofit. I'll just use the Kokomo example, I was reading an article today, they're building a playground, a very large playground in one of their big parks with some of their ARPA money. They're spending, I don't know, $150,000 or $200,000 on the park. So, I know we can't do that, but people are getting very, very creative these days.
We rent the shelter house out every summer, don't we?
Mhm. We probably
So-
make between $2,000 and $2,500 a year off of it.
So building another shelter might be,
Well, we talked one time about building kind of like a cabin down there on that, remember, John?
Yeah.
On that slab
Yeah.
that people could use in the wintertime.
And then at one time years ago, we had talked about building a building down there that people could use all the time, an indoor building.
What did I just say?
The rec center or?
Well, no, you're talking about the slab, I'm talking about a whole lot bigger than that.
Like a community building or a rec center or
Yeah.
something, is that what you're talking about?
Well, like, it was been a community building for the park.
I know.
I've got
Like
a,
a Morton building.
no, this was, I'll bring the book in because the engineer, they drawed up plans and what it looked like and everything. And I've still got it at home, so I'll let you guys look at it. So,
All right, well, we can keep working
Yeah.
on, some ideas that we can look
Yeah.
at. I mean, I think total, we're gonna have, close to 230,000. When we get all of the second half of the funds, so we'll be able to put together some ideas. Next item on the agenda, Jeff, we have a thing called manhole rehab update.
Yes, I'm working with George on that. Before we really budget the next manhole, we've got one section of pipe that's still camera, and we've gotta get doing that. Where's George? We're getting close to being able to do that, so, if we have to go in and remove a rock or something like that, that's got priority over some other stuff, so, we wanna check one section out before we commit on it.
Is that the section that has the rock?
Mhm.
Okay.
So, it's taken a little bit longer than I think we all anticipated.
We're gonna hook up with, hopefully Doug, if you can stay later, you and Jeff and I can chat tonight
Okay,
for a couple minutes.
all right,
We'll make sure we're looking in the right spot. So,
gotcha. C9A.
yes.
That's where the rock's at.
Depending on what.
You mentioned manholes. I had an engineer out my house Tuesday because my house got a crack in the wall. My house has been there since the 1800s, it's never had a crack. And he
Back up
said-
just a second. Introduce yourself. I don't know who you are.
My name is Michael Allen. I live at 5116 Iowa Street. I have the collection of Volkswagens in the driveway. Anyway,
This guy's good.
I developed a crack in the wall at my house. The house has been there since the late 1800s, never had a crack. It had brick veneer. And it's got a crack. Well, I had an engineer out to shoot the level of the house, examine the basement walls and see what's causing the crack. And he said it's the vibration from the trucks going down this road. You mentioned spending money if you could signage to control truck traffic. He said while he was there, the trucks going down the road, he says those trucks are vibrating that road to the extent that it's about 2.2 on the Richter scale. Slight, small earthquakes. Houses are not made for it. And he said, is this a sewer street in this sewer? I said, yes, it's got a big sewer in the middle of it. He goes, that sewer is going to be collapsed inside 3 years, and you're going to have everybody's wells contaminated from sewage. He said, because that road is only designed for about 15 tons. And Monday, there were 21 triaxle dump trucks and semis go down Zero Road on Apple Street. So that's the reason I come tonight. That's bad enough the house is broke, big deal, it's a house. But the well, my goodness gracious, I hate to think what happened if something happened to the well.
All right. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, fire department contract. Jeff, you talk with the chief about the fire department contract? All right, I'll back up. Last month, we asked you to talk to the chief about signing the contract.
We did very briefly, and
Okay.
if it was the same, you would move forward with that.
Okay. All right, so no changes with the fire department contract? And we'll get that signed then for next meeting. Sound all right?
Yep.
Okay.
So we don't want to sign until next meeting?
Has the chief signed it?
No.
No.
Okay.
Why
I
does-
would
why
prefer
does he have
signing
to
it
be
after
first?
the chief signs it.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Very good. All right, next item on the agenda, Christian Sports Center agreement. So we asked John to meet with the director and talk about what kinds of things might go into an agreement with them
Yeah.
using our building.
Yeah, on the building, Gleaners was going to purchase the building, and we talked about if they put a building down there, and they left, it would belong to us because it's on town property. Well, Gleaner said no. They wouldn't do that if you took the building back from them. So as it stands right now, they're not getting the building. So unless the town would say, you know, that belongs to the pantry or belongs to Gleaners if they purchase the building, so that'd be a decision you
If we
get.
kick them out, but what if they decided to move?
If they decide to move, then I guess they would take the building with them, because it belongs to Gleaners.
I'm saying, would they be okay if we said, if we kick you out, you can keep your building?
Yeah.
But if you guys decide to leave, the building's ours.
Well, that's it. Gleaner says that even if they left, since the
No,
building, it's on the
either
town
way.
property, yeah, it's,
Oh, Gleaner says that they're gonna come back and get it.
yeah,
Okay.
since they were purchasing the building, they thought they ought to have control of it, but
You're saying building, you
A
just mean
shed.
a mini bar.
A shed.
fairly,
Yeah.
something to probably hold, you'd have some shelves in it, maybe a couple freezers for the overflow, but. So I don't know if,
And
we
that's
had the
what
funds to
they-
do it.
They're talking about that they would
Move
take
it.
it with them. I mean, it can't be something, it's gotta be something they can get pulled up and take.
Yeah, well, most of them buildings are on, runners,
Uh-huh.
so it'd be easy enough to lift up, but that's how they bring it.
All right, so no outbuilding for them. The other part of that was just a standard agreement between the pantry group and the town, since they're using our building. I
Yeah.
didn't know if you guys had a chance to
No, we talked
discuss
about it.
issues with that, since we currently don't have a formal agreement or understanding
Is that,
with them.
is that something Graham should write up? We just have a.
Yeah, he was willing to write something up, he just wanted to know what kinds of criteria we needed, so that's what we wanted you to talk to Marlene,
Okay.
the director,
Are they
about.
gonna pay rent? Is there gonna be a rental?
They don't,
arrangement, or-
no, they don't pay rent, and we maintain the building, like Pete put in new lights, we put in those new locks, we had that new floor put in, things like that, so,
Do we pay the electricity on that building?
no,
No.
They pay their own electricity?
they pay their own electric, yeah.
I can't remember what's the, I mean, so what if they take their building, right? I mean, why, that's not a sticking point for this whole thing, right? Okay.
No, they
Well, no.
were, I mean, initially, I think when Marlene contacted me, they were talking about building like on a slab kind of a thing. And that sounds like more of a permanent.
But if
Yeah.
it's on
placement.
runners, they can put it there, we're fine with that, aren't we?
Yeah, if they put a building that's movable, a portable that they can pick up and take away with them, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
And they're paying their own electricity, so
Yeah.
they're gonna have Duke Energy come out and extend their electric meter to include
Yeah.
their outbuilding and
And they
that
pay-
part of it,
Pay their own insurance on that? I wonder.
yes.
Yeah. Well, Ralph pays it, Ralph Mantooth pays it,
But it's not on our insurance.
no,
The building structure itself is on our,
Yeah.
is on our insurance.
Yeah.
The-
but it's
They pay basically
premium.
contents.
contents and liability, so.
But,
Well, I'll bring that up about the building on Skids there.
I wouldn't necessarily think they need to pay rent,
Yeah.
just have an agreement between them and the town
Yeah.
that they're using the town's property and, you know, kind of the different things. I mean, they maintain some stuff in the building themselves, so if, you know, if we could spell that out, what are the things that the town's gonna maintain? What are the things that the pantry's gonna maintain?
And do we mow is there a property that's mowed?
We mow the grass, yeah.
Will we pay insurance on Gleaner's building?
It's,
No,
it's on our policy, the structure, not the contents.
mean.
No, we talking about an outbuilding.
The
Yeah,
outbuilding,
the Gleaners building, will we pay the insurance on the little shed that they're gonna be bringing in?
I would say no. I'd say that would be on them.
So there's a building and a shed.
They're
Not
putting a
current,
shed.
just a building right now. They
Yeah.
wanna add a shed because they need extra storage.
Yeah. Right now, you're running out of place to put your goods that's bringing in, so, and you can't even move in there. Like last night, they had 80 families.
So they wanna be able to
Tuesday.
take their shed, but the building, I'm picturing a building, like it's, sorry, I've
Yeah.
never seen this
No,
location.
it's a brick.
It's an old brick, it's the
They're
old
not gonna take that.
No, they're not gonna
library or
take
bank.
it.
Yeah. Coming
There
next
should be
Tuesday.
something in the agreement about keeping the insurance on the outbuilding.
Yeah.
In case it catches on fire and catches our building on fire.
All right, anything else on, food pantry? Or any of those issues? Okay, thank you for working on that. And next, item on new business, insurance proposal, Jeff.
yes, I did email the insurance proposal out to you, so hopefully you've seen that. Some of, information I actually just got, what I'm handing out today, that, takes and, puts the payments in a little better form. I'm one short, Jenny, so I'll
I
give
have
this.
one, you gave
Okay.
one to me before, but.
That just breaks it down by category, and the different categories. Because this is not only our bundled insurance, which is our property, equipment, inland marine, which is all the cars and the crime, general liability, those types of things in our umbrella policy. But then there are actually two additional policies that are kind of separate, which are workman's comp and the police reserve accident sicknesses. Those are two separate policies, and that's why they're broken out separately on here on this agreement. The thing to know this year, the premium went up for $4,010, which is 22% over last year's premium on here. And what they're telling me is it's the loss ratio is 105% on how they calculate it. They paid out due to some lawsuits that we have, you know, either settled or still ongoing. So that's why they're challenging that. You know, talking to Pete today, there were some questions about do we even, or was that yesterday, Pete, that we had a conversation, I'm forgetting? Today. Do we even look at a different carrier to try to reduce this cost or not? This carrier can actually shop it to other, not the carrier, the insurance agent can shop it to other providers. They don't think that any other provider will be lower than what they're proposing. So, the coverage is, our current coverage is good till June 6th, so we have to have an approved policy before June 6th. So if we don't approve this tonight, we would have the meeting, our budget meeting, I guess we could call a special council meeting to approve insurance and get the paperwork signed. So it'll be in effect for June 6th.
Was the 22% increase in any specific category, or was it across the board in general?
It was really because of the loss runs.
Okay.
And I did email this to you not too long ago. You can see where the losses are at.
Okay.
You gave me two.
So, and when you have lawsuits, it's really, you know, self-explanatory of what most of these are. Some of these are old, going back to 2019, on how they look at these claims.
Do you know when Mr. Otterback had the knowledge that this was gonna increase? Because, I mean, now we're stuck with, we have less than a month before we have to renew our policy and we're being told,
I believe, when was it, I sent you the email, I got it yesterday, the dollar amount. I've not sat on this, 'cause-
I mean, that seems like waiting until the 11th hour to tell you, oh, by the way, your
Yeah,
next year's.
Because I met
fee's
with
going
him
up.
a month ago and went through his form and saw, made sure the equipment was right on there, that, everything was kosher on it, if we bought anything or sold anything, those types of things. Yeah, he sent this to me May 11th, so that was, yesterday. And I didn't get the loss run until this afternoon.
in other words, like the client loss run, this is stuff they've paid out.
That's stuff they paid out, yes. But they go back so long and look at a loss run and how they calculate that. I'm not sure how they do that. They go back a couple years anyhow and calculate a loss run, and they want to see their insurance premiums above what they've paid out. And what they're telling me is they've paid out more than they've collected from us over that time period.
Which is why you have insurance.
Mm-hmm. And insurance companies are in business for one thing, to make money. So, I don't
All
like
right, any
it.
other questions for Jeff on insurance? Okay, do we wanna, have a meeting related to the insurance on the 26th when we also are doing budget, or do we want to approve this and renew it tonight?
And what we could do then over the next year is really dig into this. So we don't get hit with increases.
The last time we got quotes from agents, it was supposed to be 3 of them. And my problem with this guy is when we got quotes, we had one agent that was blackballed, so he couldn't even give us a quote. And we ended up taking this guy.
Yeah. A lot of times you
I
have to select an
don't
agent,
go for that now.
and, my experiences with other municipalities, you select an agent, then that agent will shop to a number of carriers. But I understand there was things that happened when this agent was selected. In fact, this agent was selected with a different person at the firm, and that person, I think, has moved up in the firm and was transferred to Mike,
Yeah, Kevin Hill.
so.
Yeah.
I feel kind of caught between a rock and a hard spot dealing with
Yeah.
this.
And this comes up every year then.
Correct.
Well,
Even though
I'd
last
say-
year I thought we talked to him about signing a 3-year policy. I thought when Kevin was still our agent, we asked him if we could do a 3-year agreement,
To keep it low.
and I thought he
Yeah.
agreed to that.
yeah.
I would have to go back and look
Have
at
to go
that,
back and look
but
at the
I thought
policy.
he agreed
Yeah.
that, that would be best for both us and the
NP.
insurance company.
From my perspective, a lot of times you'll do that with you'll select a carrier for 3 years, you'll have your agent, and that agent will go out and bid it in the marketplace, and you go out and do a big bid every 3 years amongst all the different carriers.
Okay.
That may be what he was getting at. That's been my experience. You leave it with one provider for a couple of years and then go out to carriers, because it can be a lot of work to bid it out to multiple carriers.
You have something, Pete, you want
Well, I'm pretty sure I know who you're talking about when
Yeah.
you said the blackball. I
Yeah.
talked to that agent today, and he said there's really not enough time to get an underwrite between now and June the 6th. So he said we'd have to shoot for next year. So you just answered the question, you could
Right, I mean,
Yeah.
the last time we tried that, we started in February in order to get
Yeah.
some quotes. And so that's kind of why my concern is, we're hearing about this increase today when we have to sign this month in order to renew it. So that leaves a bad taste in my mouth that this insurance agent didn't prepare us, didn't do his homework with enough time for us to make an informed decision on what we wanna do to go forward. I mean, we're kinda stuck.
So,
Back
is
in
this
the corner
deal
right now.
3 years or one?
One, this is just an annual renewal.
Okay.
And you would, even if you do a kind of a 3-year look, a lot of times you kind of look at everything on an annual basis anyhow.
Well, I'm gonna suggest, since we really don't have time and it kinda stuck it to us, we go ahead, we're gonna have to do this, and then we reach out before next year and see if we can't rectify this
And the first thing
situation.
you do is, we need to talk to agents and select who we're gonna work with as an agency.
Yeah.
That is the first thing, and whether it's where Pete was going, I've got several contacts that we can go through as well, so.
What's our options if we have a meeting on the budget meeting? We really don't have any options anyway. I mean,
Probably.
we are, it is what it is, and we remember it next year.
Yeah.
And I
I
think,
guess I was grabbing for straws, so I was like, but yeah, we don't have any options.
if you're with one of the carriers that does a lot of municipal work, I don't, and in general, insurance is going up. Every carrier you're gonna look at is gonna wanna see what our loss runs are. So.
Well,
All right, any
that's
other
it.
thoughts on what we wanna do with insurance?
So we could look at Ralph next year, right?
Yeah. Matter of fact, it'd be Wade, his son, and he's one that told me they wouldn't have enough time to underwrite it. So, I mean, I could even get him here 2 or 3 months from now, and you could start then, you know what I mean?
I would like to see us go through step by step all the things in the insurance, because I still think there's some things that could be ironed out in the policy, so we get good quotes coming back.
Right.
And it's gonna take longer than, you know, if we don't start in the next few months.
Right.
All right, do I have a motion on the current renewal?
I'll make a motion that we pay this man 22% increase.
Okay, have a first motion,
I'll second it, only because we have to.
Yeah.
okay, got it, seconded, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Huh?
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so we'll sign this and then we'll scrutinize it for next year. All
Let her
right,
know we
next
weren't
item.
happy about it.
Next item on the agenda, consider, GRW proposal. So Jeff, is that you or,
That's actually Graham.
oh, Grant?
Sure.
All right.
I sent an email with this proposal from GRW. I think it was last month, we talked about some of the ongoing legal issues the town has, and this would be another kind of arrow in the quiver to try to resolve those. So my thought is, if you approve it, we can have this in place if we need to pull the trigger and have GRW move forward with this work. And obviously, I'd keep you in the loop before we actually pulled the trigger to do
Yeah.
that.
Okay. All right, everybody remembers the.
I've got a
GRW
copy here.
proposal we're talking about with the drainage ditch.
Yep.
I'm sure I've seen it. when it was-
GRW did, of course, the work down at the wastewater treatment plant.
You need a motion?
Yes.
I make a motion, we accept.
Okay, I have a first motion.
I'll second it.
All right, got a second motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries. We'll accept the GRW proposal and be ready to go. Permission to continue the DAR military banners program. We have 9, right, for this next year?
She didn't say how many for sure, but she just needs, she just respectfully requests permission to continue the program in the town of Clayton for banner placement in 23-24. So I just need to tell her whether you guys say yes or no.
I love it. I say
Yeah.
yes. We bought new things
Yeah.
for them and everything. you
Yes,
know.
I
love it.
like having the military banners up. I
Yeah.
think it's great. Even though we only have 9 new ones, if we could
Well,
keep.
you can't keep them up. You have to take them down,
Oh,
or
yeah.
you have to get a new picture and pay more money to have it up again.
Well, all right.
So,
We'll just draw a mustache.
well, yeah.
Magic marker, get out there.
A white goatee, and then
Yeah.
it look just like him.
That's right. Okay, so do we wanna give permission to the Daughters of the American Revolution to continue?
Oh, sure.
Okay, we have a consensus on giving permission. Sale of the beet juice spreader, I have John's name next to that.
Yeah.
You gonna sell that to somebody?
You buying it?
No. I know to sell it though, I think you have to get a sealed bids on it, I believe.
Do you know the estimated cost, the value of it?
From what we paid for it, it's all, you know, and,
What do we pay
It's
for
all
it? do
2
you know?
years old, isn't it? Is that
Yes.
all?
yes,
I think the original price was around 13.5 with the transfer pump and everything.
yeah. And then I think we got, what, 1 or 2 containers of juice down there?
Well, there's only one that's about 3/4 full, the rest of them's empty.
Okay. One guy approached me about it, said he was be interested in purchasing, but that's why I brought it up, but I know I just couldn't say, give him an amount, because you can't do that.
Well, it's it's a piece of used equipment. I don't know
Yeah.
if we have to necessarily go through too many hoops, do we?
Yeah, I don't recall offhand what the dollar amount is. It's some amounts you gotta bid it out basically to give people from the public a chance to, maybe Joe Blow down the street would pay $500 more than that
Yeah.
guy to create a competitive process. But I don't know if 13,500 requires that. I don't know offhand.
Okay, so if, we can figure out what that cutoff is for next meeting and then decide, cause I know, we also wanna sell the broken down UTV. So it's gonna also need to be.
Yeah.
What, is that worthless or?
I don't know that it's worthless, but
It'll take
we
quite-
bought it used and then we used it for a good 10 years or however long, so.
We didn't have that long.
No?
Maybe 2 or 3.
We only had it about 3 years.
And actually, it wasn't a good when we got it. It was pretty well worn out.
Wasn't real great, no. Especially in the winter time.
All right, yeah, so if you don't mind finding out for us what that cutoff is for the dollar amount, then we can, put up all of the rules on selling these
Yeah.
items.
That's what it
The
was saying.
spreader
Like
and the UTV.
Yeah.
Anything else on, items to sell? Do we have anything else we wanna sell in the town? All right, next thing I have up here is a lease agreement with Brennan Farms for the 2.97 acres south of our wastewater treatment plant.
Yes, since the town purchased that property when we did the property trade with Penner.
Yep.
I don't know how long that was done.
13 years ago.
13 years
Yeah.
ago. It's been farmed, and from my understanding, the town hadn't received any payment, and it's been an oversight for this long. So working through, George, working with James Penner, we got a hold of the Brennemans, and they've made us this offer of $400 a year payment for those. They're saying 2.5 acres of tillable,
Yeah.
which is how they look at it. So I was just presenting what he presented to me. He was asking for a 4-year agreement. I think Graham was saying we should do a 1-year agreement. Whether you do a long-term agreement, we need to make sure we have an out in case we need to do something with the property down there, you know, kind of on an annual basis. But I think you set this up as an annual agreement
Right.
versus
I
a
think you could-
multi-year agreement.
I would just suggest you approve it every year
Yeah.
for 4 years rather than committing to the 4 years now, because you don't know what you're gonna wanna do with that land.
And I'm not an expert on what farmland is going for from a leasing standpoint.
They were all here last meeting.
Mhm.
They were all here, those experts were here.
Well, and
Yeah,
I mean, just with chatting with James Penner, that's what he does. He doesn't farm any of his own farmland. He rents it all, does a cash rent for all of his, so, he said that's the standard.
The standard.
Rate right now.
Yeah.
That he's getting, so.
I know it's not super high, so.
No.
No.
But all year, cause you're just renting this dirt for a farmer. to grow.
But from our perspective, it puts liability on the farmer. If somebody, if he gets hurt, you know, there, it's some protection from the town's perspective. That's, I'm more concerned about that than I am the cash rent.
You can't get that retroactive.
So and it's 400 for the whole 2.5 acres
Yes,
and,
per year.
for 1 year.
Mhm.
Okay, anybody have any other questions on us doing a cash rent agreement with, Mr. Brenneman?
No.
Okay, need a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept that.
All right, I have a first motion,
I'll second.
got a second motion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries. We'll adjourn that. Next item on the agenda, I got, town manager's up. What else you have for us?
Well, I got a couple things for us. First of all, I think this is the first official meeting we've had back in here since the new carpet. I think they did a pretty good job of that, and it came out real nice. So, thanks for doing that, town engineer. HWC is working on the PAMP for our roadway, so they're out doing their thing. They're also in the process of getting the ADA transition plan and getting somebody scheduled out here to do both of those documents. So was corresponding with them last couple days to finalize that. Dwayne Lane is in the process of pulling his permits for those duplexes down on the south end of town, off of there at the south end of where Pennsylvania, where he's gonna put the new street. And so, if you haven't been down there, he's taken down a couple big trees that were on the property that had to be removed. One of them was actually inside one of the duplexes, and the other one was within a couple feet of it. So, that's moving forward. Talked to the Clayton Cafe contractor. He's still telling me they're at least another month out. It seems to be slow progress. They have, from my perspective, done one of the bigger projects for the tenants upstairs, which was the new steps going upstairs. So I know I walked up them before and after, and they're much sturdier after, so I'm much happier that that's come in. Pat, our town maintenance, is learning the jobs and doing a pretty good job as we work with him to get stuff. So if you notice some things that I've missed or Pete's missed or Pat's missed, we need to get kind of coordinated on those types of things. But I think it was this afternoon I got an email from the DLGF from the state. They've released the supplemental income tax payments out to all the communities. Clayton is set to get $10,079 of the certified share and $3,200 in economic development, so in the current year's budget. So that's a supplemental that they do if they collect over a certain amount. So that hit my inbox this afternoon. So I thought that was some good news as we're looking at several expenses.
And are there steps to claiming that money? Or
That will
just
automatically get sent to us. What we'll have to do is do a supplemental appropriation if we actually spend it this year, like you would if you got any extra money. So I thought that was some pretty good news today. So
Okay.
you know.
Any questions for our town manager?
No.
All right. Next I have Chief Olvan.
I have one thing tonight, Saturday night, one of my reserves got in a minor fender bender with the Tahoe. The front bumper scratched up pretty good. It broke a trim ring around one of the tow hooks. It tore off the bottom. I don't know, piece of trim. But, he was pretty upset about it, said he wanted to pay for it out of his own pocket. I wanted to come to the board and ask what we wanted to do, if we wanted to try to get an estimate on it and see how much it would cost to get it repaired by a body shop, or if we want to let him try to get it repaired. How do you guys feel about it?
Was the
I don't-
police report filed?
Yes.
Good.
I don't,
Problem with that.
I don't feel he should be
I told
paying
him
for
I
it, cause he
didn't
was
think
doing,
he
he
had
was
to pay
doing
for
his job,
Yeah.
so.
He was trying to clock a car and misjudged with the Clayton Apartments, there's a gravel drive.
Yeah.
And he was too close to the edge. The front bumper went down to that ditch partially.
I'd get it fixed, I wouldn't make him pay for it though.
No.
Yeah, he wanted to fix it himself too, and I told him, I wasn't going to do that either. Said he had some body work experience, but. So, I can get some. estimates.
Yeah, I didn't treat it as a
Yeah.
sidebar. We did with the last one.
And,
Dang it.
and I got a question for you,
Now, if he was at the strip bar or something.
my neighbor across the street, you know, when he moved in, he asked
Yeah.
me about where, you're probably aware of this,
Yeah, I got called there.
okay,
Yeah.
where the town property was, and I showed him there, where the city limits was. Well, they shoot over there, you know, they've been shooting,
Right, yeah,
a lot of
there.
people playing. I don't know if they was on his property shooting in to the non-existing town property or whatever, but then someone told me, says, well, what if he's shooting in the property that had no permission to shoot that bullet into? I says, well, maybe the owner would have to say something, I
So he
don't know.
backs up to farm field, which is out of town limits, but he was shooting
Yeah.
on his property in town limits.
Yeah, he was in his, on his.
So we told him he couldn't do that.
Okay.
I mean, they were shooting in a safe manner, but the ordinance specifies you can't, so.
Yeah.
We do need to look at, probably put an exception to that ordinance, if you're gonna start a firearm in self-defense. Right now, it doesn't specify self-defense. We probably need to add that at some point. Because basically, it says you can't shoot a firearm at all.
Yeah.
No matter what. I think we probably need to add an exception of self-defense. But, yeah. Did you have a question about that, or?
No, I was just wondering, the one that was complaining most, I said, I will find out for you, was, my daughter.
Yeah.
She says, they're over there doing, I says, well, I says, he's not on town property where he's shooting, I didn't know they were on their own property.
They're on their property, yeah.
Yeah, shooting in the,
They're shooting towards the farm field.
Yeah.
Property. And he was trying to tell me one part of his property is not in town limits. I tried to explain to him that the whole parcel is.
Okay,
And he
yeah.
didn't quite understand that.
yeah,
They stopped. But-
Okay.
But technically, his whole parcel is in town limits. There's no part of half of it and half of it out.
that's all I had.
You already had your chance.
Yeah,
That's right, we're done.
Skip the sale, buddy.
come back to the next meeting.
We don't go back.
Are you finished?
I'm
Chief?
finished, yeah.
He hadn't been here long enough to know the rules yet.
Anybody have any other questions for Chief Olvan?
Actually, I do.
Okay.
Nice weather, I'm looking forward to some music in the park.
Yes.
What are we doing?
So.
Ha, It was, it was last Saturday.
Missed the last day. My personalized little chaotic here, like, but it's my fault, I just didn't think about it. I am working on, I don't have a date yet, but I'm working on you had a suggestion about like an open house for the new playgrounds. I am working on something. I'm thinking on a Sunday afternoon, of having something, we'll have a DJ come out.
You better check with me because
Yeah.
the
I'll
whole,
work with her, even if it's not a Sunday, we can do it
yeah,
weeknight.
the
An
whole thing
open
is
house,
pretty well.
open house for what?
The new playground.
Oh,
You haven't been over there this
yeah,
week
yeah, I
yet?
didn't know, I couldn't hear what he
Do
said.
a Monday night, it doesn't necessarily. have to
Yeah,
be weekend.
most,
It can
it's,
be
it's pretty well taken during the summer.
But I am working on getting two, bands confirmed, that I'll let you know.
And then you had September the 24th as one of the dates too.
July and September.
July seventh maybe, or
Something like
ninth?
that. It's after the 4th.
Look at me, seventh is after the fourth.
I put it in my calendar, I can tell you exactly.
I know it
So,
was, September
I've reached out to a
24th.
couple different bands and have not confirmed any bands yet. The 16th of July.
That's what I thought.
Okay,
And
very
then
good.
the other day
We look forward to those,
is
those are fun.
September 24th. And then like, we'll add in, instead of doing the May one, I'm gonna do some sort of open house for the fairground. I'm still working on the logistics of that, here we get that confirmed date. But it'll be within the next few weeks. That's kind of my goal. Yep. Yep.
All right, Jeff, we'll segue back to you now.
Sorry, I looked up and I realized Wallace Construction finally did the 100-some feet of sidewalk south by B&B. It turned out pretty good from what I saw.
They went above and beyond, they put up a nice little retaining wall for your berm.
At my expense, yes.
Oh, you paid for that?
Yes. Yes, I was grateful for it, but yes. That was the agreement I had 4 or 5 years ago when when they paved the
All right.
roads, however long that was. We had the agreement with Dan that when they run that sidewalk, we would furnish the extra cost for the curb.
Okay, I didn't know. All right, very good.
I got called as they were out there getting ready to pour and said, sure.
Yeah, they showed up and I said, I went over and said, you guys pouring sidewalk? And they go, yeah, it's over here. And I'm like, all right, cool. Better late than never. I said, we're putting the curb in still? And they go, what curb?
But as I was talking about Dwayne Lane doing his project down there by Pennsylvania Extended, he's got to cross Pennsylvania with a culvert for some drainage, so we're actually gonna hold off until we get that culvert across Pennsylvania to do the paving project down there. So we are coordinating those two. I don't wanna lay new asphalt and then a month later come back and cut it out.
The state does all the time.
Okay,
Probably need to look at it, wait, when we're repaving that on that road.
So it's Pennsylvania south
Okay.
there, so there shouldn't be anything besides cars on it.
Yeah, sure.
alrighty. George, I got you up next on the agenda.
Fantastic. I guess you want me to stand up.
Yes, please.
Could use it.
Actually, George, we better make sure Jeff is done.
I think it's done.
He's not paying attention.
All right, 4 items. So, still waiting to get the Auger Monster quote. This thing is slow as can be. But, been in contact with them. They're still working to get all the stuff lined up. So hopefully by next month I'll have something we can present. And we'll see. That being said, Jeannie, you'll probably get a couple bills because it did go out on me again. So it was the time it was electrical issue. So we get a bill from Granger for some fuses. And then we had an electrician come in that James knew from Mooresville to do the repair work, so it's back up and going. So we're only down for like 2 days. So we're good there. And then I was concerned on who was mowing the yard because I thought we were doing it, but then I found out James had been mowing it the last 2 times, and he has offered that if we want to have more hours for the town work that can be done within a town, he's got to mow his yard anyway. He'd be willing to mow our part within the fence, and he was thinking $50 a mow to take care of that part of it. And I said, well, I'll present it tonight and see if we want to just keep and let Pat continue to do it or let James do it, so.
All right.
So
Thoughts?
that's the proposal or
Yeah.
the thoughts that would free up some hours or time that,
How do we get down there to cut it?
once
We-
a
we use-
week. You haven't even had a chance to do it yet, right?
Well, I trimmed the other day.
Yeah, I seen the weed, it looked good.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm not sure there when we go down.
So the way it's always been done before is you have to drive the lawnmower on 39 all the way down there and then mow.
I'd rather have Penner
So-
do it than have him driving down 39.
$50.
$50?
Yeah, because he's already got his mower out doing all his property. He said he would just
I
continue
didn't know
doing
we
it.
drove down 39
And
with
then
that thing.
he's actually mowing on the other side of the fence too, in between the field that's our property to make it look nice. So he's doing that piece of it as well. He said however often he mows it, I wouldn't think more than once a week, and if it's dry, he's not even gonna mow it. So he would just bill accordingly, I think.
Just have Brenneman cut the check for 400 to him, we'll call it even.
Yeah.
There you go. So,
Only
I
in
don't know if that's
May,
something
June,
you wanna think
July.
about, or make a call on it, or,
Well, that's about the only time you,
what's that?
Thoughts, anybody?
we're just
wanna-
talking here.
Oh.
Well, having a lawnmower person in my family, $50 a week sounds, and I don't know how big that piece of property is, but kinda sounds a little high to me, but
Okay.
do you know how many?
I don't know acres, but Pete, do you have any idea? Have you ever?
I don't know how large it is, but I know it's tricky because you're not supposed to really get grass in those tanks, and there's several tanks on the property. It's kind of a tricky property to get in there. You might be able to do a little bit with the rider, but you also might do a little better with the push mower as well as the trimming, but it's a kind of a tricky little property.
Yeah.
What?
He pushes it?
No, he's got a little, zero turn, I think it's a Dixon type.
I may be wrong, but I thought it was always in your contract that you would take care of it.
That got amended many, many years
Oh,
ago, that
okay.
I was not allowed to do it anymore. Cause I was actually mowing it for several years with
Yeah.
my own mower and my own gas. I was told not to do that anymore.
But I agree with Pat, it's kinda tricky to cut down there
Yeah.
with them tanks. Unless you had something with a bagger on it.
Right. So,
Did you have a different price in mind that you wanted to propose,
Well-
Leanne?
How long does it take you to mow it?
I haven't mowed it yet. I trimmed it last week, but I'm geared up, ready to do it, but.
Pete,
um,
ask Pete, he's
How long
mowed it a
does it take
million
to mow it?
times.
3 years.
Well, if you do the trim and everything, of course, I did the road and the whole thing, the ditch and all that, so that was like 4 hours, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, but he's only gonna do inside the
inside
fence.
inside the fence area.
Inside the fence. An hour?
Over an hour,
Over an hour.
especially if you know, you trim around all the tanks and
Yeah.
all that. Cause some of them areas you've got a weed eat, you can't even get a mower in there, unless it is a push mower.
Hmm.
But I just weed eated in the spots where I couldn't get the rider in.
Okay, so an hour.
If it takes an hour, $50 that might be good. See, he's doing little lawns and
Right,
it's
sure.
$25, $30.
Back in my day, that's what I was happy with $10
Yeah.
for, 2 acres.
Does he weed eat too?
He just said he would mow it. I mean, we can ask more questions to what he would do and let,
I'd be willing if he's gonna do $50, he'd weed eat too.
yeah. Okay, all right. So we want me to just go back and say, hey, this is what what we would do, and just let Pat mow it the next cut, you think, or?
What does everybody wanna do? You wanna
Well,
contract
okay.
with Penner for $50 to do the mowing and weed eating inside the fence?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say that.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, I'll
Bring
leave
it
it that way, that I'll tell him, hey, it includes mowing and weeding. If you're happy with it, it's a go. If
Yeah.
not, then revert back to the way it was.
Yeah.
Can we do it that way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay. We good?
What's next?
That's all, 4.
Okay.
Good.
We're good. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Pete, you're up on the agenda next.
You want me up there?
Yes.
The only thing I have is April 16th, I got an email from McAllister's, and they said 1 to 3 months, and that was a month ago. So hopefully we'll have it by midsummer,
Okay.
and we need it bad.
Yeah.
That's it. And other than I caught Steve Orr's playground, that's how he knows about it. He didn't hardly fit in some of that stuff.
Hey, it worked. Ate too many pizzas.
It worked.
Okay. Next
grandkids
up on
love
the
it.
agenda,
Yeah,
Pat.
yeah.
Pat,
They
you
love
got a spot on the agenda.
Oh, great. What might that be?
No, do you have anything you wanna say?
Oh, no, I don't.
Things of the town maintenance crew.
Getting a feel for everything and where everything is and kind of getting a good routine together, but just working my way around right now, trying to sort it all out.
Okay, very good. Thank you much. All right, do we have anything else from anybody on the town council?
Yeah, I do.
Add to the agenda. John?
June 18th, is our town cleanup, which is coming pretty quick,
Okay.
so. I
Do
think
we have the dumpsters all lined up?
Everything's lined up.
And Anthony's gonna let us borrow the
I don't know, have you talked?
loader
No,
again?
I haven't talked to him.
Oh, okay.
You wanna talk to him? Go ahead.
More full than I did with Tony.
I'm not around anymore either, so. We got a month to do. Let me, talk to that guy over Ray's. I'm gonna try to talk him into seeing if they'll let us use that one with the finger on it. They used to let us use,
Oh, I don't know.
but it was busy last year, so we couldn't use it, so. If he says no, then we'll go with Tony.
Jeff has a question for you.
Actually, he cleaned up a couple of questions. One, will we collect car batteries?
No.
No.
Will we have a list posted on our website, what's collected and what's not collected?
Yeah, Ray's has a criteria on what they will let us
Yeah.
put in there. If we collect something that's not allowed, they just charge us extra, so.
Yeah.
but
No
yeah,
tires, no tires.
We'll include a list.
Supposed to be no
Okay.
televisions.
I'll pose this,
No free on.
lawnmower batteries, car batteries, batteries only. If you guys wanna collect them, I'll dispose of them.
I was gonna volunteer to take the car battery. I'd park my truck there and take all the car batteries. They're worth $11 a piece.
Why you gotta tell my secret, man?
So June 18th, our cleanup day. Anything else from somebody else? Steve, Leanne, Dave? Jane?
I'm good.
No? Your deputy treasurer?
She had to
She
leave.
left?
Yeah.
Grant? Anything else? All right, I did, put together, I think since our budget, workshop's coming up in 2 weeks. So this, I just, kinda worked with Jenny and went through some of our, our 1782 notices and what we've done in the past and the trend. So just something to help prepare us for the 26th. And you can notice on here that our back in 2017, our tax rate in the town was 58 cents per $100 value, but our assessed value was 24 million. This year, our tax rate is 49 cents per $100 value, and our assessed value is 34 million. So while our levy has increased from 140,000 to 169,000, the assessed value has shot up pretty significantly, and our tax rate has dropped, which has affected our budget overall. So if we spend all of our budget estimates this year, we're gonna be $70,000, we'll have spent $70,000 more than our revenue, which we do have a cash balance, in which I put that on here also, but our cash balance has steadily kind of dropped down. So we just need to kind of think about that as we go into our budget workshop and what do we want to do to kind of start addressing this. And that was one of the reasons I asked our municipal advisor, Baker Tilly, to show up at our budget meeting and kind of help us with some of this, give us some advice on some things to kind of change that trend of us dipping into our cash reserves so much and fix that for the future years. But anyway, just something to look forward from now till our next, till our budget meeting.
Quick question.
Yes.
So is it safe to assume that our 2023 tax rate is gonna dip even lower, or is it gonna level out?
Yeah, I don't No, I mean, that'll be a good question for, Paige, our Baker Tilly representative, who's gonna be here on the 26th to see what that, I mean, it's dropped almost 10 cents since 2017. So, as our assessed value goes up and our maximum levy is hit, then it tends to drop. So, that is a potential for it to drop again. I'd like to see it level off and not keep going down. Probably get some help on that. Good questions, anything else? All right, anybody, have any objections to an adjournment?
Nope.
All right, then it is 8:06, we will adjourn the meeting.